Hi, welcome to Lockdown Minis. I'm Richard, and in this video I'm going to be showing you how I paint the Invictor Tactical Warsuit, which I'll be adding to my Ultramarines force. I've already primed the entire model in black, so now I'm just going to be going over the blue panels using the airbrush and Ultramarine Blue. For the second stage of the blue armour, I'm just going to be using Electric Blue by Vallejo, just to add some variation to the blue in the armour, particularly on these flat panels, but also to add some highlights as well. When I originally came up with this colour palette for painting my Ultramarines, I found that the electric blue was just a little too bright for me, and just needed toning down a little bit. So to go over this, I had a shade which is a 50-50 mix of water and Drakenhof Nightshade by Citadel, and this just helps bring those two colours together, but also to tone that really bright blue down. I'll be doing this process over the entire model, wherever the blue panels are. I'll be using two silvers in this model, Chainmail silver and also silver by Vallejo. I'll be using the Chainmail mainly for any of the parts that are associated to the body of the model that need to be metallic, such as the arm pieces here, any leg parts, and any other sort of mechanical parts. The silver that I use from Vallejo, I'll be using that to add a dry brush to these chainmail parts, but secondly I'll be using that on the majority of the weapons. I decided to use two different silvers just because looking at especially large models with one type of metallic colour or one type of silver or steel colour, they can get a little bit samey. So by using two different ones, lighter and darker, it can just help to break that up. Now I'm just using some black just to fill in some of the seat panels, but also some of these sort of grip panels on the cage system. I also use the black for some of the weapons, and also some of the bits that go within the joints, so the shoulder joints and also on the leg joints as well. I've now moved on from the main body of the warsuit, just to focus on the Primaris Marine that's going to sit inside, mainly because I just wanted to get him in and out of the way, but I'm just on this now. I've used the same process as earlier, with the silvers and also the blues, so I'm just adding an edge highlight of Wolf Grey by Vallejo. For the lenses on his helmet, I'm just going to be using quite a bright red, and I'll add a shade of Nuln Oil to that afterwards. Here I'm adding a shade of Nuln Oil just to his metallic areas on the harness restraints that hold him into the cockpit. And here he is, ready to be mounted inside. I'm now going to be using a wash of Nuln Oil over the entire model. I won't be watering this down in any way, just using it straight out of the pot, and adding this quite generously over all of the metallic areas that I painted earlier. Now I'm going to be going through on all the edges of the blue armour, adding an edge highlight of Wolf Grey by Vallejo. This just helps the blue pop out, but it will also help with the transition between the darker and the lighter blue. I'd also say for this part, make sure first of all you sat comfortably, because this takes forever. But also use a large brush for this that'll hold plenty of paint, meaning that you don't have to go to and from the palette as much, and it'll just help speed that process up. Now I'll be adding a dry brush of Vallejo silver just over all of the metallic areas, so it's now gone for this darker silver with a much brighter silver dry brushed over the top. I'm now going to use a green and red for some of the lenses and lights inside the cockpit of the warsuit. You can use any bright green and bright red for this, but I've chosen to use Citadel's mute green and also Vallejo's bloody red. I'm now using a nice bright yellow for the searchlight within the cockpit. I'll come back later with some silver just to paint the grate that goes over the top of this, but for now I'm just going to be filling this in with the yellow. with the marine in, now looks a little bit like this. I'm now going to use some skull white just to go over the launchers on the top. I wanted these to be white, sticking with the artwork that's on the box, but also just a really good contrast for the blue and the blacks. I'm now going to use some Bloody Red by Vallejo just to fill in some of the pipe work at the rear of the warsuit. I'm now going to be painting the purity seals that I've placed dotted around the model, hanging from the armour. And I'm starting on the parchment that dangles from the seals, and for this I'm using Vallejo's Bone White. I'm now going to be using Scarlet Red for the actual seal itself, which is kind of a purpley red. If you've not got Scarlet Red by Vallejo, just use any red really, and just fill those seals in, and then later we'll be adding a wash of Nuln Oil to those. For the shade on the parchment that dangles from the seals, I'm just going to be using Citadel's shade of Seraphim's Sepia, just to go over those and give them a little bit of depth. Now, as mentioned earlier, I'll be using the silver by Vallejo just to go over all the weapons barrels and any areas on the weapons that I want to be metallic. This will help the weapons stand out from the actual arms and the mechanical areas of the warsuit. Because I've magnetised the model, I'm going to be able to use both weapon systems on this. So for the flamer, I'm just going to be using some polished gold by Vallejo, just to add some variation to the metallic colours again. And for this I'll just be using this over some of the protective shielding, like the heat shield on the flamer. Also some of the canisters that are on this weapon, I'll be using the polished gold there too. I'm just using black on the weapon as well, just to re-go over any of the areas that I wanted to be black, where I might need a little bit of a cleanup. But also by using this black over the entirety of all the black areas that I want, it just helps them all tie together. I'm now going to use Nuln Oil just to go over the entirety of each weapon system and just give that some shading. Again, I'm being quite generous with this. I'm just making sure that I'm slapping this on. It's going to get a dry brush afterwards, so I'm not too fussed about this being too neat. Just trying to stay away from the blue areas. Now I'm adding that dry brush of silver by Vallejo, and I'm going to go over almost the entire weapon system here. So the gold areas, but also the black and the silver areas. Here I'm just completing the base with a black rim around there to finish the base off. If you want to see how I've done this base, I do have another video tutorial on how I complete these bases for my Ultramarines, which I'll put a link somewhere on the screen for you now. Now I'm going to add some various transfers onto knee pads and some of the sort of the upper plating areas of the model, but also the shoulder plating as well. Now with the transfers on, I'm just going to go over these with a wash of Nuln Oil. But what I'm going to do is, once I've added the shade, and I'm going to take the excess off my brush using a bit of kitchen roll, and then I'm going to rub the brush over the shade just to remove any excess. I want this to be a thin coat of the shade, and the best way for me to do this, I think with over the transfers, is just to remove any of the excess that I've got on there. Finally, I'm going to add some grass stubs to the base, and then that's the model complete. If you've liked this video, you want to see more of the models that I paint, hit the subscribe button, and I've been posting regular videos, and I intend to try and keep this up on a weekly basis. Also, if you've got any questions at all, please leave me a comment and I'll get back to you as soon as I can. In the meantime, you can also find me on Instagram by searching for lockdown_minis, and I regularly post updates on work in progress pics on there as well. So hit me up, and I'll catch you next time.